Good evening. Welcome to your Ass Hurts News Network. Coming to you live from the top of Cock Tower Square with your host, Sergeant Friday. Sarge, how you doing?
Well, good evening there. What was your name? I forget. Oh yeah, you're Cletus. That's right. How you been?
I'm busy. Been busy.
What are you busy doing? Cutting down trees with a new chainsaw?
No, she was going to, but she forgot that that battery operated chainsaw needed a battery that was charged in order to go cut things. So
So women with tools that have issues with glasses and the battery issues, huh? But she's schooled in tools. She was arguing earlier. Cletus?
First off, when I put the battery on after it got here, you saw me. I pressed the button and did the vroom vroom, and it worked.
Yeah.
One would assume the battery would work when you did it today, and it did for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, bitch, go inside.
Well, you got to charge it for 24 hours generally, or somewhere close to that for a full charge before you use the tool. But I mean, I'm sure you know that as the skill level of tools that you have, in your belt.
I think we need an official hardware desk.
we might need tools for women desk. Yeah.
Tool department for women. Yeah.
Yeah, tools department for women. That I don't know if that could hurt or help. What do you think there, Clue? Well, it depends on who the instructor is. It probably should be a man, but
Probably.
Who am I to say?
Tools typically require mansplaining in order to
Mansplaining.
Yeah.
Why do we call it like we're mansplaining when we're just filling in the blanks of things that they're completely blank for the women?
Because anything more than 5 words strung together is entirely too fucking much for their attention span.
Not if it's about going shopping or buying shit. I disagree. Honey, did you see that ring in the case? Oh yeah, I saw that.
Shopping or buying shit or when you fucking done something that pissed them off.
Oh yeah, don't piss them off. 5 words. Jesus Christ. 5 words aren't even, they're strung together in 1 word. You don't even know what the hell they're yelling at you for. 5-word chunks. Oh God, what did I do? Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Motherfucker son of a bitch.
Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, forgive me.
That's 6 words, just that quick.
I was born with a penis. I guess that's a problem. I was born with a penis. Don't you judge me. I was hoping Fathead would be around because I got a good one for Fathead.
Oh yeah,
I got a new one. Yeah. You know when you know you're fat.
When
you go to the zoo and the elephants throw peanuts at you.
That's a good one.
That shit's just funny as fuck, ain't it?
Yeah, that is.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
I suspect he'll be around, so maybe you'll get the opportunity to go in there and inject that bit of wisdom to him.
I think him and Seth need to get a room.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tony. Apparently, Tony's equipped for a room.
Yeah, I hear. Somebody's pet fish had a cam slip or something with a little 2-inch mistake.
Yeah,
If it had only been 2 inches to the left, everything would have been okay.
2 inches to the left. And here's the thing. It was 2 inches and 2 seconds. So I don't know if he was like, normal performance parameters or what have you, but yeah.
I think that defines a short man.
Well, we call him Thumbelina. Right? But it was almost that was a terrible image. Does anybody explain what that actually was? Has he come out and explained it?
I don't know that he has, but I would imagine at some point on his TikTok ventures today or tonight, he will undoubtedly address his frustration and disgust with the world making of it.
Something brought it up. We don't know what he was doing in the background, but right, something brought it up, and
it was on point.
Megan, you did. Apparently, Tony What does that guy claim to be?
He's a PR guy.
Yeah, public relations guy. And part of his public relations, apparently for Seth, is to show small penises under the image of Sebastian, the missing child.
He may have read his job title and left out the L and thought it said pubic relations.
Pubic relations, yeah. That could have been his hair, maybe. I don't know. But that is the most fucked up thing I've seen as far as Tony showed his Twinkie, but it really wasn't Twinkie sized. So I don't know what you would call it. Do they sell junior Twinkies? I don't know.
In fairness, I think it was just a fucking, washout of a damn backdrop. But it's a lot of fucking fun to sit and crack jokes about what it appeared to be, regardless.
Yeah, well, I don't care what it was. He should step away from that. He really should. I mean, I think that come on, man.
Judging from that image, he hasn't got a step too far.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, fuck, anyway.
Someone said she thought it was a thumb at first. Well, I don't know a thumb that has a soldier's helmet on it, but anyway, enough of that. I titled the stream. Is it? What did I title it? Is it time for Ann Taylor? Is it time Ann Taylor steps aside? What do you think, Cletus?
I don't know. I heard a little bit of your explanation on that. I forget whose panel we were on when you said something about it, about that she's going to be replaced. And I don't know. I think you got an interesting point. But I'm just not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I don't know that she should step away. On one hand, I kind of feel like, seeing this thing the rest of the way through is probably in her best interest and in his best interest.
Well, unless she wants to become the state prosecutor or the prosecutor for that town, right? Unless she wants to take Bill Thompson's position,
right?
Then I think she should step back. Only because she's got to live in that community.
Well, I mean, in all fairness,
for those people, right?
In all fairness, right? Let's assume for a second she's doing a good job and everything is as it appears that it is, right? And she's a very masterful chess player with this court case. I would think that would be the person you would want to take the spot as a public servant of Bill Thompson, right? Because obviously, if she's done her job well, he hasn't done his worth of fuck. And I don't really think there's any question he hasn't done his worth of fuck in terms of being on the up and up and doing his job by the book and for the right reasons. So if she had, I would be all for her taking his spot.
Accolades and popular opinion, he's served that well, right?
Yeah, but popular opinion, it shouldn't be what it's based on, right? I mean, in all fairness.
No prosecution should be based on statistics and numbers as they are anyway, but in the system that we're in, I mean, he's playing it exactly as it should be played. So if we want to be fair, he's doing what's really what we've come accustomed to seeing, right? Look at the Gilgo case, 10 years of corruption that cost how many lives? A serial killer running loose while these cops were being corrupt.
Yeah.
Now they're going to bring that one case from Florida. The Innocence Project's got a hold of that one guy that was accused of killing his wife and convicted for it. And apparently the district attorney or the prosecution office found 8 documents that are critical to his defense that were never submitted, that were turned over, exculpatory documents. So this is a commonplace what we're seeing here. And I think two reasons why I think Ann should step away is because it's more than Bill Thompson that's going to be affected by this. So you have police departments and you have other peoples in public service, right? That have availed themselves to the service of Bill Thompson. Those people are your problem too. And I'm not sure that's something Ann should stick around for. And I'm not sure Ann has the tenacity or even the wherewithal to attack that group of people because it's essentially the whole hierarchy of the town. Fair enough, please.
Yeah, I mean, it is the hierarchy of the town, but, and I mean, maybe she doesn't, right? Maybe she doesn't. But I would be willing to root her on. You know what I mean?
I would root her on too, but But I just don't, like I've experienced this with lawyers, and another lawyer said that that's what brought me to this reminded me of what happened to me with a law guardian that was prejudiced because I was Italian. I was just another Dago or a WAP, was what he had said in a message. And I come from a family of Guinea gangsters. So those statements were enough to disqualify him a billion times over, but she refused to produce them to the court because she has to work with these people for the rest of her life, and I'm just one case.
I didn't know
And so,
John was from up north.
oh,
Isn't that what he referred?
I don't know exactly what he said. I do know that he had an issue with the points that I made about my family.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. And I don't know if I ever showed you that court case. I think I did, didn't I?
I don't think so.
I have to, because there's very little information on the internet, because this was coming out. This happened just before the internet became a thing.
Yeah.
It was out there, but there was very few people going for it. You got mail. So there is some information on it. And the outcome was brutal, because going way back then, here's the outcome of what happened. My father took it away from the public defender, and he gave it to a defense attorney that was a judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was like this county attorney, and he was also a county court judge. And he took it to that guy. And that guy, when the case was done, became a federal court judge because of the ramifications of the case. All the cops that made the accusations went to jail. Then they did an internal investigation into the police department, and they found the police chief had been stealing the drug enforcement unit's money to buy suits and cars to send his kid to a prominent college. And so the whole police department was basically taken apart and trashed and put in jail. This guy spent the police chief spent 10 plus years in jail. The cops that made the allegations spent multiple years in jail. I don't remember their sentences. And so this has been going on forever in these prosecutor areas, and the way a lot of these police departments where people in key positions become corrupt, and they run around shaking babies and holding hands, right? Mm-hmm. They're not holding babies and shaking hands. It's just the opposite for these fucks, and that's what I think you're seeing here in Idaho, undoubtedly. And I think poor Ann, Judge attacked her. If you remember, when she came out against Bill Taylor last year sometime, how he really roped her in, right? And put her on the spot. And so every time she says the defense is doing something, I'm sure it's not Bill doing it intentionally, or Bill probably has nothing to do with it, right? So that's what I mean. When you look at the totality of the situation, and this is from my knowledge and experience with the law and the things that I've observed, I think it's almost time for her to go. For the betterment of that town, and for the betterment and for the outcome of Koberger.
I mean, that's interesting for sure. Because so you think she is corrupted by the town, or could become corrupted by the town?
No, I don't think that at all. I think that Ann Taylor has a nice life there, and I think Ann Taylor, in order to maintain that, has done all she can do at this point without actually going after the town itself. That's what's coming next. I mean, what's left? If you take the data that's been exposed,
I'm with you, but I mean, at some point, right? Somebody's got to be that martyr that picks that hill to die on, or succeeds in winning the hill.
See, that could hurt Koberger. And that if she isn't that person, and why would you want to take that chance? She's uncovered enough data to put everything the state alleges in the fucking grave.
I mean, in all fairness, she's got the job. She kind of has to take that chance in order to maintain integrity. I mean, if that's what the role dictates, and
come on, Cletus, live in the reality of today.
Well, I mean,
the reality of today.
I understand what you're saying, but you accept the reality of the day when you take a public service job.
No, come on, it's just not true. And most people that are corrupt aren't corrupt because they're criminal or they're getting some kind of payback. They're corrupt to maintain their position, and their corruption is kind of under the surface, like the cop that speeds when no one's paying attention, right?
But if
Or
she
anybody.
steps away out of fear of what could come, that's just as corrupt as turning the eye to the corruption that exists because you're refusing to fight it.
And that's really that is the song that's being sung all over the place. I'm telling you, in a simple divorce case where I was being falsely accused of stuff, had a restraining order that was falsely brought against me, then had a law guardian that was disparaging me and preventing me from getting access to my kid. That isn't something to stand up for. Well, you had the evidence. This wasn't my word to a lawyer. The lawyer had this evidence in front of her.
Oh,
They
I
knew
believe
things
me, I
she did.
completely understand what you're saying, and I've been burned in a fucking situation too. I understand how fucked this could leave you, but that's not a reason to fight for what's right, or that's
Well,
not a
she
reason
is.
to not fight for what's right. I should say.
She is fighting for what's right. She really has provided the fight for what's right. But I think, mark my words, I think that she's going to end up being bumped by professional attorneys that come from a private law firm. I highly suspect that's going to happen before this hits trial, if it even hits a trial. And the reason, I give
If
my
that
reason.
if that comes about and he chooses to go after a private or go for a private attorney, then by all means, right? I wouldn't turn my nose to that at all. But
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
Ann would be. I think Ann would be recommending that. Listen, I think Ann is smarter than all of us in all of this, and I think she understands that she has to live in that state. She's one of 3 people that can handle capital murders in that case, in that state. She's
I
in
thought
a
it,
very,
I
very
thought it
high
was 13
position.
for some reason.
Pardon?
I thought it was 13.
Okay, but that's still a very small number of
Right? Yeah.
defenders, right?
Yeah.
Right, versus the size of the state and the many courts that are in that state. She comes from a different area and has to come to Moscow, Idaho, to do this case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I don't know who lawyered for the one guy that was accused of murder, and they had falsified the information, and now he's suing them, or he just got some settlement from them. You know the case I'm talking about in Idaho.
Yeah. The other one with what was his name? Lowry. That was in
It'd
it.
be, it'd be nice to know what lawyer handled that, and if that lawyer was a public defender. See,
Yeah.
that's what's key here is that. Well, I mean, look at. I don't know if she's going to do this, obviously, but my big concern is when I look at the circumstances surrounding the case, I think that would be the best outcome for both her and Brian. She's convinced Brian is innocent, right? How many times has she said that now? 3 times?
Right.
Okay. But I also think she's convinced that she does not want to, unless she has higher aspirations, that she does not want to be the one among all the lawyers in that state that take down that not only I can't imagine how showing the information the cops provided is false and unverifiable, how there isn't ramifications throughout the courts and the law enforcement system over in Idaho. Although it's possible to just get ignored, but I can't imagine Steve Gonzalez sitting still if all the evidence they used to arrest this guy is shown to be false and that the arrest was based on nothing. I don't know that Steve is going to want to sit still, right? Would you think any of the parents are going to want to sit still for that?
No, I mean I'm with you on that all day, but I don't know. I'm I'm kind of the mindset that if I were her, I wouldn't be recommending a private attorney. Because I do. I think there's something to be said for if you accept that position as a public official, and part of your job is what could entail doing what we're talking about, then I don't think you should walk away from it or encourage your client to let you walk away from it because it's a better thing for you. Because at the end of the day, it's not. If there is a corrupt system that you got to deal with and defend against, the longer you postpone and avoid dealing with that corrupt system, the more people the more people are going to get hurt by that.
No, there's no there. See, again, I think this is one of the ways they use ourselves against ourselves. Okay, This is one of the reasons I had a falling out with a lot of people that supported Trump. My basis for my opinion of the man comes from his inaction. Actions that he had the power to take, should have taken, and should have done things that I don't, the wall, build the wall is one thing, but drain the swamp was key. That was the key to the success of the country. And he did nothing to further that. As a matter of fact, the swamp came after him and he didn't even go back after them. So that's one of the reasons I then when COVID came, he turned us over to Clinton's people. Dr. Fauci and that Ann were members of on the board of the Clinton Foundation. And all of the people that got around surrounding those two were part of the Clinton Foundation. They were part of the deep state, part of the swamp, part of the crooks. And Trump allowed it to go that way. And he did not need to allow that. He could have called in experts from Johns Hopkins and other institutions. Somebody was feeding info in his ear, hydrochloroquine. What's the other one there? And they were feeding his ear with other alternatives. But yet he didn't have the bullhorn. It was Fauci and the others that had the bullhorn. And that really offended me that he turned us over to that. And then when the Hunter laptop came out, what a lot of people may not realize is the Department of Justice is an executive branch creation. It answers to the executive branch. And there is congressional oversight, but it answers to so if the President of the United States says, you need to investigate Cletus for ABC, they have to do that. There's no argument. He is the chief law enforcement officer. And so he can completely control and direct the Department of Justice on issues that he thinks or wants to be addressed. He didn't exercise any of that ability as president. And I always held suspicious feelings towards that. And then the COVID issue, when that came and the way he behaved, it kind of sealed the deal for me. And then when the whole basis of the Russian allegations against Trump were levied against Flynn, the way the Flynn case concluded showed me Flynn was part of trying to destroy Trump. This guy alleged that he was coerced into making an admission under oath and swore to commit a crime. Okay. And in the very end, after all this went on for years, at the end of the Trump administration, he submits a motion to get dismissed because of prosecutorial misconduct. That was the motion he submitted. And the Department of Justice joined that motion. And let me just say, Cletus, this never in American history in any court, state, federal, or otherwise, has that ever happened. Ever. Where the prosecution was being accused of misconduct and they joined the motion of the accuser. And in doing that, this is what ended up happening. Because they did that, and because it's the prosecutor's discretion whether to move a case forward or not, they stripped that judge of any power. The same judge that had been in there for over a year and a half on this case, listening over and over again, this guy admitting it. Okay. So when this happened, this was an unheard of act by a prosecutor. Unheard of to this day. It's never happened before. It's never happened since. And what it did is it prevented the judge from investigating the allegation. You see? They couldn't investigate the allegation against the people that coerced him. They took that. Now the court has that power. But doing what they did stripped the power from the court because the court couldn't make a ruling that there was prosecutorial misconduct, which would give the court the power to go after the prosecuting office. You see what they did? And
right.
So my point is, when you look at the totality of things that happened during his administration, I came to understand that he's just another cog in the wheel.
So you think Ann is just another cog in this wheel and a private firm would be better suited to handle this? I got you. I see what you're saying.
You see, it's not that she's not capable, and I'm not questioning her moral fortitude or her decency as a person, but I'm just telling you the way the system is set up and the way it runs, that this to me is the perfect time or soon to be the perfect time to allow a well-named or a upcoming law firm with great credentials to come take the case over.
No, I could see that. I mean, that what you're laying out makes sense. So, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from.
We lived in such a corrupt time, and I say it all the time. We're run by the criminals. The Godfather movie actually predicted this, and people missed it. Do you know how it predicted it?
How?
Well, what was the Godfather sending all his kids to be?
Shit, I don't remember. That movie
lawyers and senators, pal.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
That wasn't just him. That's exactly what's taken place over the years. And slowly but surely, we've been corrupted from the inside out. And so, what does a woman in that position do?
I don't. Sorry, I don't think we've been corrupted from the inside out. I think our inherent corruption's been capitalized upon. Is what I truly believe. Right? I mean, the reason we go along with so much shit is because it's easier, faster, cheaper. One of those three, right? Or multiples of those three, but that's ultimately why we go along with bullshit.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, there's a depth to it, but I seriously can't really see any other way than being corrupted from within. And you end up with people in positions doing things and making statements and fighting against what's American, as if they're fighting for America. Some of their arguments I don't really have much of an issue with. I'm not one to think any human being should be forced to live in the shadows, regardless of who you are, what you do, what you look like, what color you are. I don't think that's the basis for this country. This country was supposed to bring all walks of life together, and I don't think because of your religious teachings that should mean that other people have to hide from you. Do you follow me?
I do agree with that.
Right, I think religious people need to hear that. It's fine for you to see that. It's fine for you to live with your belief, but you can't take your belief and subjugate somebody else with it. Now you're going too far.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree with that completely.
And I don't think Americans are told that often enough, if ever. I really don't think they're even told that. I don't think I mean, aside from me repeating myself over and over again, where else are people hearing that from?
Well, and I mean, most religions and what I know of them ultimately allow for acceptance of other.
Hey, I invited Twiz up, and I think I forgot him and left him down in the fucking street.
Oh, I've just been here for like a minute.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh shit! I seen a little gray on the screen. Oh, Twiz,
what's up?
What do you think about the Ann Taylor analysis?
I don't know. I don't think she'll step down. And from what I understand, she actually had a pretty successful private attorney's office before, private practice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they asked her to come be the public defender, and she took it. So I personally think she's just out there for the justice, you know?
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I mean, my synopsis or theory is based on just how I've seen court systems around the country, how effed up they are. And
yeah.
how sometimes the lawyers involved know the right thing, but they're going to have to go against everybody up above them. And,
right.
And it isn't about what's right or wrong. It's about what looks right and how people are rewarded and celebrated and how people move forward. And you got to get on that train with them. You know?
No, that's definitely true. I've heard a lot of people talk about how that's part of the reason why Judge does what he does, because he deals with those same attorneys and prosecutors, you know, on the daily. So
right, and that court system and the people that are in front of that judge are regular people, and they're there regularly, and they're more than just, you know, the guy that's making the fries in the back room. They're involved with these people. They know who they are. They may have even modest personal relationships with them. Right, nothing severe, because you want to keep some semblance of divide between you and your prosecutors, but yeah, he needs someone like my cousin Vinny to come in and finish this up. What up, cuz? Yeah,
it'll be pretty interesting to see what goes on now. I don't know if you guys read the new document tonight, but
share it with us. I've read it, but share it with us.
They gave the defense the IGG info.
Really?
Yep. So everything's just crumbling for the state.
Were they ordered to, or did they?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why?
Specifically, no, but I'd imagine because that hearing last week went pretty well for the defense.
And the hearing the week before that did as well.
Well, I mean, they all have, but the closed one last week was specifically for the IGG, so. I'm sure it was
I
good.
would have loved to have been a fly on that wall.
I know.
Well, maybe not a fly, but I definitely would not want to be the penis that showed across the patient's image last night. So
It was funny when at 1:30 the judge was like, all right, we're going to take a break because we're supposed to be starting the next thing now, but he didn't tell us that it was closed. So I asked the officers like holding the doors open, I'm like, the next part's closed, right? And he's like, yep. And I was like, damn it.
All right, I got a joke for you two. Cletus, you may have heard this, but the audience may not have heard this. So I'm gonna ask this question, and I'm gonna pause for approximately 30 seconds. If you're in the chat room, there's 74 of you through 3 different places. Just try to follow along with this and give me your answer. So here's the question: what do you call a Mexican fighting a priest? Go. Twiz, you can answer at any time.
A Mexican calling a priest.
A Mexican fighting a priest.
Oh, fighting.
Mexican fighting a priest. Yeah.
I have no idea.
You guys don't know? A Mexican fighting a priest is called Alien versus Predator.
I like it.
That's some shit right there, aren't they? Oh man, someone said I'm Mexican. Let's hear it. Alien versus Predator. Anyway, yeah. So they got all the IgG now. And
That's what it says.
How about, we don't know if they got the video of the 2011 to 2013 Elantra
around the house?
Yeah. They
have that. Last hearing Ann said that they have the full video, so they didn't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay, okay, but they were holding that back now for a year and a half.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. LA, come on, that was a good one. Twiz, how do you know when you're really fat?
When the elephants throw peanuts at you.
There you go. He was paying attention.
I heard it.
You the man, Twiz. Please bring some jokes in here or something.
He left us.
No, he's still here, but he muted himself. There he is.
I'm here.
2 Utes.
Like that.
I was adjusting the air conditioner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's chilly up here, man. It's in the 50s and 60s. It's middle of June. It's just unheard of. But, we're busy. Got a steady supply of work ahead of us, so I guess cool.
That's good. It's got to be better to work in the cool than the heat.
Yeah.
60 is pretty good.
No.
Not me.
I like the
air conditioning, whether it be the car.
I
actually was going to mount it on my lawn tractor, but the yard is a little too small for that. But I was thinking about it.
Working in the heat's way better than working in the cold. Every time you smack your fucking finger in the cold, it hurts way worse.
Well, I mean, like 60. 60 is not hot, but it's not cold,
Oh, yeah.
Working in the cold sucks. Working in the heat sucks. You need something like in the middle.
Look at this. Yuri Mabozic. That's my name. I adopted that name as my Eastern European name. And I'm going to go to a restaurant when they ask me your name. I'm going to say Mabozic, party of 2. And hope they say that over to the microphone. That would be awesome. All right.
That looks like.
Can you read that?
It looks like I can't read
language. I don't even think the person that wrote it can read that. It's Russian.
It almost looks like the same language as this tattoo on my arm.
What's your tattoo language?
Gregorian.
Oh. Well, that's I think they see a car in Moscow. These people don't know what they see. Bill Thompson can't see past that fucking food impregnated beard of his. Unbelievable, that guy. I can't. I'm just flabbergasted in this case. It's carried on in the. Yeah. Damn.
I misspoke. It's Georgian, not Gregorian.
Can you imagine pouring some massive concrete slab, but never putting the rebar in? And then trying to cover it up and hide it?
Cover it up and hide it.
Yeah, they're like acting like the rebar is there.
Put rebar on top of the concrete slab and then pour more concrete on top of the rebar?
No, like they put the rebar back behind the building, hoping nobody can see it. But there's a pile of rebar taller than the fucking building, because if ain't no one gonna look, right?
That's funny.
I mean, like these people shouldn't have known that the 11 and 13 around that property had nothing to do with the crime, and yet they're using the movements of that vehicle to tell you that was Brian Koberger. Somebody didn't notice that. Come on,
Man, they had to have noticed it.
So somebody didn't notice that the mentioning of 12 of those trips, and it was, like he was trying to plan a crime, and somebody didn't notice those 12 trips didn't even go by the house. Come on, man.
Actually, I've been thinking about this the last couple of days because they don't have the data. At least when the PCA was written, they don't have the data to tell how far away from the tower he is. All they can do is see what tower he's connecting to, right?
Right. Here's something though. I if that's a real image of a woman, you could speak whatever language you want. My address is.
You're a fucking idiot.
That's probably the smartest thing anyone said today.
Come on, man. You'd be attacking me. Come on. Same thing with LA, but she speaks English. I can understand what she's saying. Come on, come whisper in my ear.
Easy, old Dumb and Tony.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, don't worry. I promise you. I won't fucking twizzle Dick Tony you.
I just think that the FBI agent Balance would have advised MPD not to write the warrant using the limited data that they have.
Well, they were told not to use the IGG, and they keep arguing to this very moment in time they didn't use the IGG. And Ann keeps asking, well, how did you identify my client? And they can't tell you because all the information they claim they used to identify her client can't be supported with fact.
No. Well, they said they aren't going to use the IGG in warrants or in the trial, which is true, but they're still using it as a tip to point to Brian. That's where the issue is.
Right. And this has always caused a debate against me and a few other people out here. I've always contended that the reason its case is sealed and their argument of a tip is because it's about the FBI. It's not about some witness. Imagine if they had a witness and never mentioned it. Somewhere in all of these accusations, there would have been a mention of that, especially when you applied for the warrant. You would have kept out. You would have mentioned a confidential source or referred to something somewhere along all of this train of arguing. And the only argument that was a tip so far is, and here, the tip they're arguing about is the FBI. I mean, that goes to show you that if there was somebody that was actually in that position to be a snitch or something, there'd be some recognition of it somewhere through these proceedings. No different than we recognize the IGG as being treated as a tip, an anonymous tip, right?
Right.
So tell me, Twiz, are you going to save me money on my car insurance with all that typing or what?
Probably not. Probably not.
I feel like we've called into to an insurance, internet insurance outfit that's taking notes.
Someone's asking me if I have any Mexicans working at Sergeant Friday. I had an Iranian, an Iraqi guy after the Iraq War that had immigrated here that worked for us a long time ago. But I have only American citizens work for me. I don't care what nationality they are. That's never an issue for me. I don't care where you came from, bro. If you got the desire and the skill and the aptitude to do what we do, and that's your thing, then you're welcome to work with us.
Listen,
like I said, but you have to be, a citizen with a Social Security number, born or became a natural, became a citizen here through the process. If that's not true, then I can't employ you no matter how skilled you are.
I worked with two guys that were from Iraq and had come over after the Iraq War, and we wound up going to this paintball outing for the company, and there were, I don't know, probably 25 of us. And it wound up being a situation where me and these two guys are taking on the entire rest of the company. And it was hilarious to watch the three of us literally wipe out the rest of the company. And then I find out that they actually fought in the war. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains it, doesn't it?
They've never, I want to cover a few things in the chat. They've never, in any of the documents that have been exposed to us, mentioned a witness or a confidential informant. It's never been brought forward. MO all sealed docs review around a confidential informant. There's no way that you can make that statement, Snoop, because we don't know that. There's been no mention of a confidential informant in those terms or otherwise. Is that fair enough, Twizzler and Cletus?
Sure is.
So, yeah. What else do we got? It's a controversial way to ID suspects with their DNA. Yeah, I just wanted to cover a few of those questions. And you should never believe the data. You should only know what the data is and accept it at face value. Believing in it is a fool's errand, and that's 95 to 98% of why this country is all fucked up. People believe what they think, and that's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to think independent of your beliefs. And thinking leads you to an idea, and that's fine. If the idea is wrong, then you have to just accept it as being wrong and accept the correction to it. What do you think about that, Twizzler?
I think that's a big problem.
What about you, Cletus?
People just believe what they're told blindly. It's crazy.
The Borg is asking, will this case make it? I don't think this thing has a chance of getting to trial. I just don't.
No, I don't think so.
Even if the evidence showed a
He had to pee.
Even if a 20,
Who is that?
It's Clue. Clue
I know.
That's not
I know.
mistaken. It's 2 words. It's not a name. It's the title of a show. Clue Minotti.
What?
Yeah.
Clue.
What?
What up, Clue? Hey, you guys
Hello.
better hurry up and get up here because I don't think these hearings are going to go on forever.
What?
Shoot.
What? I believe in warrants they did reference her. No, I don't. Okay, I already covered that. Let me see here. Maybe it's. In her motion, she cites several ICRs revolving around Napew versus Illinois and 4 of the references among her citations. Are those and what are those? What are those? I mean, I'm glad you know that you've stated them, so now we can actually highlight that and Google what they are. But break down what that is, Snoop Reed, if you can, in a few words. Are you with your clickety clack over there? Google that shit, Twiz.
The Napew versus Illinois. I got it.
What is it? There are Idaho criminal rules around witnesses, absolutely. And that's why the IGG was considered a tip. That's why the FBI didn't open a case file. That's why the FBI said over a year ago they didn't save any of their work. Because what they had provided to the police department was a tip. And they weren't supposed to use that tip in any warrants or identification or any warrants or in any courts. And a matter of fact, the Idaho police admit that to the court, that they didn't want the court to consider the IGG work because they were concerned that the IGG work would be found inadmissible down the road in another court. And so the IGG, according to Bill and according to the judge, the IGG work was never used in the application or in the processing of any warrants. Not at all. And they're not arguing whether there were witnesses in warrants. So if you take the IGG out, which is a tip, technically you could call that it's a tip. That's all it is, an anonymous tip. It's not a witness. It's a tip. And that tip would remain anonymous. And that's why the FBI behaved the way it behaved. And that's why the police made the statement to the judge. Don't consider it. Because it's a tip, an anonymous tip. You were never even supposed to know that the FBI was involved in doing that. Really, the fact that they put that out there in the public like that is stunning to me. Or that she even let a court know that she had it. You know, you follow what I'm saying, Twiz?
I'm trying to read this Napew versus Illinois thing, and it's way over my head, but it has something to do with a witness.
All right, we'll give you a couple minutes. We got a little bit of time here.
It's about like false testimony or something. I don't know. I'm not good with these legal documents.
All right. If you throw a link of it, throw it in the private, and I'll look at it later. And look, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be made. I'm happy to be corrected. But I've yet to see any argument of an independent witness outside of the FBI, not witnesses an independent witness of any sort. And I can't imagine that wouldn't have been in the accusatory instrument. That they had witnesses that could place Mr. Kohlberger at the scene of that crime.
I would imagine they would have for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, you got the smoking gun right there.
Yeah, confidential or not. I mean, the confidentiality of the identity of the person, I get being confidential, but the existence of the person shouldn't be.
And the statements that they make shouldn't be. It should be held in the court as confidential. It should be sealed.
Right.
So the witness, not even just their identity, but their statements should be sealed.
Right.
Right. So we can't use their information to track backwards to who it could be. So to protect that witness, their words would be hidden from us, and their identity would be hidden from us. The FBI technically is part of the investigation, but the FBI itself has already filed documents way back in June or something of 2023 when in relation to this IGG work, that they saved none of their work because they didn't have the lead in the case, or they weren't officially on the case, and that their work was a tip. This has been established now for a long time. Am I accurate in that, Twizzler?
Sure has been.
Right. Yeah. But the FBI folks wasn't running this investigation. It was your buddy Payne. What's his name?
Brett Payne.
Yeah. He was the lead chief investigator. 2 years on the job. I'd say someone would still be combing his hair. He looks so young, except he got no damn hair. I don't know. He looks very young to me. Maybe because I'm old. So this person's got a police chopper over their house. Well, don't speak Russian. There was people in here speaking Russian. Don't be doing that.
That is referred to as a ghetto bird.
The ghetto bird. Welcome to the ghetto.
So essentially, this guy was on trial for murder, and his accomplice testified, but he was basically given a deal that if he testifies, he'll get recommended for a lower sentence or something like that. But it's talking about false testimony that wasn't overturned. So I don't really know, but it has something to do with like a co-witness and deals and false testimony.
Yeah.
How it applies to Kohlberger, I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, we won't know until we know, right? Until it becomes. Now, if there is a witness, that would be interesting, because let me just say, what kind of a witness is supporting the document that makes arguments of this guy's car, his trips, and images in a video, right? All of which can't be verified. So what the fuck kind of witness do you think you got? You follow me?
There's a picture of them behind the house picking up evidence, right? And there's a folded piece of paper.
And there's a boot print.
Right, but next to the boot print, there's that folded piece of paper, and people are saying that there's a map to the house on there, and there might have a name, but I personally think it's initials, BK.
I think the confidential informant or witness would be somebody that put the genealogy together.
Yeah, I mean, there's that thing too. I think there's more to it than the IGG though.
Well, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, right, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to destroy their records or whatever, what have you. So that would be something that you would go after as a defense, for the defense, because they're going to have absolutely no paperwork to back up anything they say, which leaves them open to a ton of holes. Unless they spit a very accurate and complete story, they're open to all kinds of problems from a defense attorney should they be able to get them on the stand. Right?
Right.
And I mean, considering that they gave them the IGG, but the prosecution has stated numerous times they have no intent in using it, then I really can't see any reason for the defense to be so adamant in getting it, other than to show that they unlawfully got to Kohlberger and plan to use that confidential informant against the prosecution.
Yeah, I could see this case applying to both the IGG and an individual witness.
Yeah, me too.
In this argument here, because if the IGG information is falsified, even if it's done by honest error, right? But I think the biggest problem with the timing of the IGG is they already had Kohlberger's name, And here's what people just don't seem to get. When you're doing an analysis on a very small sample of DNA that otherwise couldn't be examined unless somebody magnified the sample, okay? To me, that immediate, and this isn't the way it works, but this to me is how it should work. Any tampering with that sample should mean the sample's been altered and becomes inadmissible. I don't want to hear you had to amplify the sample you had. You got the sample you got. That's all you got. That's all you got. Move on, goddammit. Don't be doing wizardry and witchcraft with the sample. In my opinion, that argument needs to be brought to the Supreme Court. If you don't have enough data to create a profile, then you should not be allowed to modify that data. That's like changing your radar gun. That's like readjusting your radar gun after. No. Anyway, that case, a good smart lawyer, hopefully somewhere, and I've got to go get a law license just to prove myself right. Latest.
No, I don't know. I think it's fucked. Personally, I think the entire case is fucked, and I'm just waiting to see it play out and get dismissed. I mean, I don't see any other way in a fair world where anything other than that happens.
Nope.
Even in an unfair world, when everything you allege has come to be fruitless, I mean, come on. You caught a minnow and you told me you caught a shark.
All right.
Right? I mean, let the minnow go, bro. Stick toes.
So this ruling has something to do with a conviction obtained through use of false evidence. Now, I just don't know in that court case what the false evidence was. Right. But that definitely sounds like it's a person that would be the confidential informant.
Right, and who would be the person that created the IgG would be kept secret, right? Because their work was done as a tip. Their work was not done, and then it was not used.
Yeah.
Right. So typically they get DNA from the scene, and they got to find the criminal or something to connect it to the criminal to identify the criminal. What they did here is the exact opposite. They took what they had, they magnified it, and then they put it through a process to try to identify a genealogy to the sample, and then use that. And this is what I was going to say, and I cut myself off because I talk too fucking much. Cletus. That's what I was looking for, to laugh, because sometimes Sarge is brutally honest, even the poor Sarge. What are you going to do? I live in this head. I got to be honest. So I forgot what I was going to say.
Imagine that, because you fucking interrupted yourself again.
Yeah, see. So what was I
talking about interrupting yourself?
What was I going to say before I interrupted myself?
Which time?
Both times were the same thing. It's about the IgG. Anyway, yeah, see, that's just crazy. Oh my God.
Not to switch topics, but just to give you something to ponder on, I think you should go check out this live by this creator named Burnt Toast that they did tonight, where they lay out a court case between two YouTube creators.
Yeah.
I was watching just a little bit of the paperwork on it, and I was really curious to get your take. I think it would be interesting for you to give your viewpoint on it.
Is it how long is it a big chunk of time for whatever this guy's got, or?
I don't know how long the live is, but the case information was at the beginning, so you can pull the docs, I'm assuming, online easily enough.
And what is the argument between the two YouTubers?
Defamation.
And has there been any ruling on it?
No, it's been filed, I think, 4 times, and this is the 4th attempt at filing it.
Right.
But I think it'd be a good one to look at and talk about, for sure.
Right. Listen, there's a lot of ways to say stuff. I could say one of the survivors appears to have been involved based on the facts that we've all been witness of, and not name a name, but there's only 2 survivors, so it isn't that hard to make that leap. So you run into a lot of conundrums out here when it comes to free speech. And the fact is, being opinions of people, right? There should be no issue. Unlike what's happening, what they did with the Proudfoots, I think the Proudfoots might have a case. They did infringe upon their individual freedom and privacy. And even though they were publicly looking for their kid, they had no business to stalk and try to report on every move they made as if they were, what do they think they are? Men in Black? These fucking YouTubers?
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is proving defamation it's not an easy task, right? And I mean, it's one of those things that once you become part of the public interest, then it's a gray area, really, and what's tolerable or what's legally allowable.
Yeah, you have to prove damages and stuff.
Yeah, I've always said that. That's the hardest thing and when you put yourself out in the public like this, that person didn't do something that created you a need to go public to defend yourself. You put yourself out there. And then somebody in the public observed your behavior and they took a dislike into it. And they started pointing it out. I don't know that you have any case. I think the cease and desist order is kind of a joke. I mean, come on, bro. Go to a fucking gym. Go. I don't even know. Call Jenny Craig. Do something with your fucking time. That's good for you.
I'm just proud that we have one of 6 in existence framed on the wall.
Oh, really?
Huh?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I remember what I was going to say. It was pretty good.
I hate it when that happens.
I hate when I talk myself out of knowing what I don't know. What? Yeah, something like that. Call Jenny Craig. Someone's laughing about that. I mean, come on, man. Come on, Seth. Pull up your big boy fucking pants. Good God.
Oh, we should have a hearing on Thursday, though. I want to know if they're going to do it. Yeah.
What's the
two hearings ago? They said that they are going to schedule hearings every other Thursday.
Oh,
that gives them a week to cancel beforehand. They didn't say anything last week about canceling it, so there should be a hearing on Thursday.
A lot of people are saying Cy is incredible. What is that? Well,
Cy is incredible because I shook his hand. I gave him powers.
Well, no, everybody's going to get the argument that they're not credible. I think, and Cy worked specifically for the prosecution for a long time.
Yeah,
his whole career, and this is the first time he stepped off into the argument of defense. But in all fairness, maybe they should have called this guy before they arrested Koberger.
I don't know how much. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know how much his past experience working for the prosecution has anything to do with his personally.
He taught cops how to use software to
well, he was a cop as well, so I mean, you have to take that in consideration.
Yeah.
He was using cell phones in his own investigations for years.
I don't question that he will be allowed as a credible expert witness. That's not really what I'm getting at. It's more, in terms of can the prosecution find somebody to combat his expert witness level? And it's like at the end of the day, it really depends on what he says and how he says.
Didn't the prosecution just have an attempt to dispute the statements that he just made under oath and they passed?
I mean, it sounded like he was trying to.
No. Listen, Cy gave his testimony according to Ann's questions, and it was the prosecution was handed over to him, and they didn't go after him. They didn't go after anything.
True. That's true too.
You got a point, Cletus, but I also think that they had an opportunity to say to the court, "Listen, Your Honor, this gentleman is blah 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 blah, and the court should consider that he's not qualified to be making these statements."
Well, it is interesting that they didn't bring in an expert witness of their own to combat his testimony. So yeah,
he was in rebuttal to their expert the week before.
Okay, he was in. Well, wait a minute. He was in rebuttal to the prosecution's expert, which was
Maury.
Brought in by Ann. Ann brought in the prosecution expert.
The one that forgot to hit save allegedly.
Yeah, that guy. But Ann brought him in, and then she brought in the counter to him. Right, so she let the guy dig the hole, and then Cy came in and lowered the casket and poured the dirt on top of the box.
Yeah,
right.
The funny thing is Cy told me he wasn't even supposed to be there, but Ann made him come because Maury screwed up so bad.
Yeah. Well, he didn't screw up so bad. He explained exactly what they did, which was a screw up.
Yeah, she brought in Mallory and then said, "Here, hold my beer. Let me get Ray."
So now what does Mallory do in court? He can't just say that, well, I made a mistake. Yeah. Are you
There,
lying
I
in or
fucked
now,
up.
bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too funny.
It was funny.
Oh my god.
Because Cy left as soon as that hearing ended. He left straight to the airport. Like I walked him to his car so he could go to the airport.
Oh yeah, you said you had talked to him.
Yeah. He's like, I got a few minutes. I got to head out. And I was like, I'll walk you to your car. I don't care.
Right, and he's going to tell you that what he can analyze isn't going to show you exactly where the guy is. He's not going to say my analysis will put me with three. No, he's going to say that where this gentleman is in relation to the towers places him away from where they estimated. They say he was 8 miles further up the road, and he was too close to this tower because of the ping time. I don't know where.
Well, that's the thing.
He was much closer to this tower than that tower. Therefore, he couldn't have been in Blaine. When they're claiming he was in Blaine, he was actually in Lewiston.
Well,
right.
That tower covers all the way down to Lewiston.
At the end of the day, like we talked about, the three of us that day, if Lawrence Mallory's the best the prosecution's got, then whatever problems I can point out about what Cy Ray's stating don't fucking matter.
Right. No, they'll have to bring in balance. They'll have to bring in balance, but
oh my god!
Because
the thing is, when the PCA was written,
could put down what Maury said, and could come up with something reasonably close to what Cy Ray has stated. So if that's the best they got, they're fucked.
Oh, for sure. But when the PCA was written, all they could see was what towers he connected to. They couldn't tell how far away from the tower he was.
Correct. And they made these assessments. They're claiming they saw a picture of a car go by that area in Blaine.
And even Payne, when he was on the stand, he said these maps are based off of what Balance said could possibly be his route. And all they're doing is looking at the towers he's connecting to.
Right.
And looking at the roads. Well, if he left the house here, he could go down these roads and connect to these towers. They have no idea how far from the tower he was. And I guarantee you everything they said will be wrong.
They're taking a picture of a rabbit and putting it into pieces that make a turtle.
Like every creator you guys see out there saying, Koberger was in between Blaine and Genesee when his phone turned back on is completely wrong. They're literally misreading what the PCA says.
Yeah,
they have no idea where he was.
And here's the other thing too. And this was always a fact. I said this always right from the very beginning. The 2 hour of non-reporting, okay, is you're gone. You can't put him there. That's out. And then I always argued that the 11 to 13 identification was accurate. Therefore, that's out. You can't place him at the house in his car. So what's left? Nothing. Fucking nothing.
They have nothing.
And now we know for a fact that car is an 11 to 13 that was circling that property. So, what the hell is this kid doing in jail? I
have no idea.
That's the chaos here. Anyway, we've done our hour, and I don't want Cletus to get the hang up on me. I had to hang up on him. So if you got anything else you want to add, feel free. I won't hang up on you.
I got nothing. Just wait for some of the next hearings, man. It's gonna get crazy.
I think it's gonna get crazy too. And again, keep an open mind. If he does, the prosecution comes in with a hammer, and they drive a nail. You got to take it for what it is, right?
For sure. That's not gonna happen. But
look at the prosecution will have their own expert come down to who is. Look, yeah, but their experts already testified, Snoopy. Their experts already been up on the stand, and he could what he talked like. The guy didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He didn't save his work. He took a screenshot of it that was used in a grand jury, and God only knows what he inputted into the machine to come up with the results that he has. And you don't know if the results were made by him or if the information inputted created the result because he didn't save his work. Therefore, that work should be inadmissible. It's unverifiable data. It shouldn't even have been used in a Supreme Court or I'm sorry, a grand
jury.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they can't tell how far away he is from the tower. So as soon as they get that information, the whole thing's going to change.
Right. And then everybody's going to be, what about the DNA? What about, go take a fucking course and transfer DNA. Just go look at what transfer. Matter of fact, start dusting your house and realize 70, 80% of the shit on the end of your rag is your skin cells, which is transfer DNA. 70, 80% of the dust in your house comes off your own body, for God's sake. What is how people don't understand that is shocking to me.
Transfer DNA on a movable object.
that was actually made of brass, if it was inside the button snap, that is not protected by the enamel coating that's on the outside of the snap. Do you follow me?
Yep.
So
What if a K bar wasn't even used? What if it's just a sheath that was in the bed?
Correct. What if there was not even a K bar used to do this?
Like,
Right?
I
Transfer
don't.
DNA should not be accepted, in my opinion, and so I'm going to go with that, unless it's found in multiple locations directly connected to the crime.
Right.
Then I think it could then be used to verify not only presence, but presence during the crime. So if you're finding transfer DNA on the bedspread, on an article of clothing, right, on a piece of something that could be related to the murder weapon, and you have multiple locations that could only have been relevant at the time of the crime, you
Right.
can make the argument, and I would accept that if there were multiple locations of this guy's DNA, even transfer DNA, but there has to be multiple locations,
Right.
not just one bad. It sounds terrible, and like you keep saying, and I agree, we don't even know the K bar was the weapon used
Yep.
in this crime, right? There was a K bar sheath found. Does that mean the K bar was the only way these people could have been stabbed, and that it could be? We won't know because we haven't saw the autopsy reports.
Right.
Right. So
that's actually going to be the saddest part if it doesn't go to trial, is we're not going to see all that evidence.
Yeah, but you kind of shouldn't have to see it, and once a case is closed, it's closed. And I don't know that we need to see it. I think what people need to realize is that the state made unsupportable accusations and obtained an arrest on a gentleman as to whether he did it or not. And that to me is the biggest problem with true crime, is everybody's looking to find guilt or prove that someone else did it on their cell phone. You fucking moron. What's wrong with people? Must have been the frat. Must have been the grub truck guys. Must have been this guy. Just shut the fuck up with that, man.
All I know is, as of right now, I don't think Brian Koberger did it. And if they arrested him and had him locked up for a year and a half over this bullshit, it could happen to anyone else. And that should scare every American.
Should scare every American. And let me just say, this is not the first case where transfer DNA was used. There's been a lot of convictions on transfer DNA because the jury, I don't know what the hell the defense attorneys are doing, but I'm just some fucking guy, okay? And I know more about transfer DNA than it sounds like Ann does, and that shouldn't be so. There's got to be people in her fucking circle that know the dangers of transfer DNA and the and
Oh,
maybe
I'm sure there are.
We really haven't seen any arguments on the transfer because
I'm sure that they are. Bicca was there. Bicca Barlow, she was there the last hearing. And then in that court filing from today, they said Stephen Mercer was there too. So they have 3 IGG experts on the case, and then another one doing their own family tree. So
okay. Yeah, it's a conundrum, and it's a sad conundrum because as people we're looking on here, and what do we got? We got nothing when it comes to that, and we got a whole bunch of people running around just trying to destroy this guy and say he did this, he did that, he was there, he was this, and all of that false information being used to destroy this person's ability to go forward in life. I say once he's released from this situation. So,
yeah,
all right. Well, Twiz, thanks for coming up.
For sure.
I got him. I got Twiz too. The guy. Can you believe that that's 2 in a row? Man. Although I did tell Twiz I wasn't going to hang up on him, but that expired. I didn't lie. I told a partial truth. Folks, it was great. Good hour with you. We'll see you again tomorrow night. And that's it for Your Ass Hurts News Network.